Are you expecting to travel this summer? Well, we've got you covered, and we've got just the guest for you. Kate Johnson is a Houston-based travel advisor and the owner of Kate Johnson Travel. We've invited her to answer your summer travel questions and give us all the trends and tricks to know and discuss tips and tricks for those looking to get out this summer. And now is the time to call if you have your questions for Kate. You can call us at 713-440-8870.
I've got one to start us off with. I'm watching the news, and I'm hearing Vegas very down in visitors, but the cost of everything is very high. Are we going to see that adjust? As people aren't traveling, is that going to mean for those of us who want to travel, there's going to be some really great deals? Because you can't sustain to have high prices if nobody's coming.
You're exactly right. Yes. So generally hotels work with dynamic pricing. So they're pricing their available inventory based on how much they already have booked. So generally you'll see usually what you see is lower prices as rooms fill up, and then the remaining inventory gets the higher pricing. So that's usually not a good thing for people who delay making their travel plans. And the reverse, which is what you're saying, is, okay, if nobody's going to these destinations and the prices are higher, are we expecting to see those fall? And I think generally, yes. You have destinations like Vegas, it's cyclical. So normally in the summer, it's at a discount. Who wants to go to the desert in the summer. So you'll see seasonality plays a really big role in pricing, but already we're seeing some international airfare, like for international destinations later on this summer, has started to fall.
But even Disney was down over, if I understand, Memorial Day weekend. So is this a trend you folks in this industry should be concerned with, or is it going to be better for us travelers?
I do think there's an opportunity to take advantage if less people are traveling and you're seeing softer prices. We deal a lot with trips that are planned more in advance, and so we haven't seen direct impacts of low inventory and soft pricing whenever it's a very short planning window.
Well, is this a lot of international travelers that aren't going to Disney, that aren't going to Vegas, that aren't coming to America because of where we are in the world right now?
Yes, we are seeing a big decline in basically hosting international tourism. Yeah. So there has been a lot of global trepidation in coming to the U.S. I think whenever there's newness and a lot of changing, that could be a concern. And so for Americans, if you're looking to stay closer to home, it could really be a benefit.
Everybody in Mexico is from Canada.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they are. They're all going to Canada.
Yeah.
From Canada to Mexico.
Kate, we are seeing a lot of air traffic issues. How could that affect travelers this summer?
Yes, this is one of our least favorite things is dealing with the airports and airlines. But yeah, what we always recommend if you have a connecting flight to give yourself 2 hours. I mean, flight delays happen whether or not there's these huge air traffic control issues that we're seeing. So 2 hours for especially an international connection, and trying to not be on like the last flight of the day, just like kind of bake in some flexibility, knowing that there's so much uncertainty. And then we always recommend traveling with a carry-on, because also lost luggage is still a situation. And when there's a lot of strikes at airlines and everything.
I laugh at what you're saying, because I'm always the guy who says, well, it's 15 minutes for the connection. I can make it. And I always want the last flight of the day because I don't want to go early. So I'm doing it all wrong. But I do take a carry-on instead.
Okay, so there's
I do
that.
One right.
You're living on the edge, though.
Yes, I'm definitely.
Yes, so I do recommend that you wear, running sneakers for your airport travel days. But we also, have air tags in our luggage.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. It's very popular, air tags.
Well, I think airlines are trying to get a little bit more sophisticated with the technology for tracking bags. Yep. But anytime you can have that in your control.
But it's still very difficult. I mean, someone probably needs an expert like you to figure out those international connections, because sometimes you have the luxury of 2 hours if you're flying out of Newark. Yeah. But a lot of times it's not. It's 45 minutes.
Well, and so many people are trying to avoid Newark these days. But a lot of times if you're looking at flights, you see, this one has a 50-minute connection and this one has a 4.5-hour connection. Right. You're like, neither of these are great. There's expediting services at airports, but different airports manage. Sometimes you're going through customs, sometimes you're not. Different ones have different different passport checks. So out of Houston, we don't have as many international long-haul flights to Europe as other cities. So we're kind of at the mercy of Amsterdam and Frankfurt and Munich and London.
How are the cruise ships doing these days?
I think they're pretty full,
Yeah.
especially they've kind of really benefited the last several years, and especially whenever you do have so much of this ground craziness, so train strikes and rail strikes. It's kind of nice to just get on a boat for 7 to 10 days, get to see a lot, and have everything in one place. We're seeing a bigger trend in the small boat cruises, so less people on board, a little bit more private space, more hotel brands are getting into the cruise space. So there's definitely some new names and brands in cruising.
What would you say are some of the trends? Are people heading to the beach still this summer, or are people looking to kind of escape the heat? What are we seeing in regards to how people want a vacation?
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting trends we've been watching is these coolcations. So any time during the year, kind of escaping to far-flung places like Antarctica. Alaska cruises obviously are very popular in the summer, speaking of cruises. But Scandinavia, I took my own family to Finland this past year. So really getting a little bit out of your comfort zone, but
Iceland seems to be a big.
Yes,
Iceland.
yeah,
It's trending.
The
absolutely.
administration keeps going there.
We did get a YouTube question. Rudy Guerrero would like to know, are travel agents still around? And if so, do they provide a good service? So do you consider yourself a travel agent?
I love this question. Are we still around? Here I am.
They do exist.
exist.
they
We
do
see one right
exist. Yeah, we kind of sit in the more like advisory space. So usually the old school was you go into a travel agency office and they're booking your train and they're booking your flights for you right there. Everybody has those skills available to them with the internet. We are more of an advisor, like you would have a financial advisor or any of these other services, and where they're consulting based on your specific needs, and then we customize the trip, and so the value is the time savings, often the cost savings, when we can say, hey, if your dates are flexible and you go 3 weeks later, we get better weather, better pricing, a better overall experience. So we can make those types of recommendations.
Sort of a concierge.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Because you can't really plan a safari. I mean, if you by
Yeah,
yourself,
that's right.
Good luck.
you'll
I'd
get
hate
eaten by
to
a
see
tiger.
I'd hate to see the
know?
one I would plan online. We're talking with Kate Johnson. She is a Houston-based travel advisor, and we're taking your calls, 713-440-8870. As probably our budget-conscious host here, what is the cheapest way to find, what is the way to find the cheapest but most safe and guaranteed travel plans? Like if you want to do online and book yourself, you always run the risk it may not be there when you get there. How do you do it to save money but still know you're going to get your vacation?
Yeah. That's how do you know it will be there when you get there? So I do think there's a lot of people that will do Airbnbs and things like that, which I think if you go with a super host or really do your homework, I think that's totally fine. Hotels, you'll get confirmation numbers and all of that. Booking in advance, like we were kind of saying, generally gives you best pricing. Booking direct, a lot of times people are like, oh, this it's on Expedia, or it's on one of these OTAs, an online travel agency. And you might be comparing pricing based on the hotel website or something. There's often hidden fees, associated with an OTA booking. So your best bet, your best, chances for upgrades and better room allocation is booking direct with the property. I do think cruises offer a good value in terms of your accommodations. Some of them include activities, and then your transportation point to point, all in one place, is also good value. And then it's kind of silly, but there are different windows where hotels will discount, like a Cyber Week or something.
Speaking of silly, how are the White Lotus destinations
Oh my
doing?
God, they're hot.
Thailand,
That's
Italy.
not great. That's
They're
not
hot.
silly at all.
No, it's so hot. The White Lotus effect is a real thing,
Yeah.
and we also see it. It's that's probably the most prominent example, but a lot of these other Set jet. So it's a movie set that people then kind of want to flock to. So we've seen this with Ischia. There was I think an HBO show that was filmed there. So the White Lotus is the biggest example. Yes, whenever it comes out, then those hotels do jump up in price. The demand is there.
So if you're Ernie, could you consult with a person like you and say, okay, I'm going to go for a drink at the White Lotus Hotel.
100%.
But I need to stay at the senior hotel that those women left.
Oh my God.
It's a little chippy in here.
No, it's the full picture. Where you stay and what you're close to and where you have your aperitivo, where you take your photos. It all plays into it.
I would think a travel agent is important because you know the landscape in which you're moving into. And I mean that if you talk about cruising, for example, you folks would probably have your finger on the pulse of when are the best rates, when are the worst rates, when are there going to be kids on the ship, when aren't there?
Yes.
And also, I believe you may have access to different pricing because you move in bigger blocks of things. Is that still true?
Yes, often we do have access to better pricing, and there are things like blocks on river cruises and ocean cruises. We generally, because we work so closely with the hotels, we're able to just we know the teams, the management. It's not just a website, right? It's the people who are working there. So upgrades and amenities and value adds. But when it comes down to it, it's less about, we'll say 5% here or there with a discount. And it's more about, okay, breakfast is $80 a day. Let's get that included. We got round trip airport transfers or something. So we certainly add a lot of value in that way, but then we know the properties and we know the people at the properties, and it's our job to match make.
Yeah.
There's a new service internationally, VIP services at airports.
Yes.
So when you land, they'll take you by the hand and lead you to customs. And I haven't done it. I've just seen it, but you recommend it?
Once you do it, you never go back.
Careful.
They even have it to where they'll pick you up on the tarmac in a golf cart or a Mercedes. It depends on if you're in the Caribbean or
I'm
Paris.
the golf cart, he's the Mercedes.
And then they whisk you through back doors and bring you a cappuccino while your passport's stamped.
That's the way I like to travel.
Yeah.
We did also have a YouTube comment here from this person who says agents can be a huge help on foreign logistics support, and they often don't charge for the service. Is that right? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So different agents and advisors have different pricing models. So that's always a good question to ask up front. In general, advisors are compensated in part from hotel commission. So just like an Expedia, an online travel agency, generally our pricing is the same, if not better, than what clients are seeing just on the hotel website direct. Plus we have added amenities. So dollar for dollar, it is generally, I would say 95% always better to get more value from an advisor, plus all of their expertise and connections. But that being said, all trips are different, right? So if you tell me we want to go for a weekend away in New York, that might be not as much time on our end in terms of, okay, let's find the right hotel, the right price, get you booked, you're all set. If we're doing, a 2 or 3 week international trip with 4 European countries, logistics, cars, planes, boats, everything, then we have planning fees. So often there are upfront consulting fees based on how complicated and how much time is involved in the planning.
And if somebody would like to learn and get your contact information, where can people find out more about your agency?
Yeah. KJTravel.com is our website. We're on Instagram at KJ Travel Agency. And we love talking about all of this stuff all day long.
Kate Johnson is a Houston-based travel advisor. Kate, thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Loved all the questions.
Thank you.